Thank you so much, everyone. Hope you guys like the demo. Now I have someone super special to introduce. I have with me Emily Slavic, president of Algo, whom I'll be speaking about Algo and SPPI experience. Hey, Emily, how are you doing?
Excellent. How are you today, Olivia?
I'm good. Super excited to have this chat with you. Thanks so much for joining. Well, for the audience, would you be able to tell us a little bit about yourself and your role?
Yeah, I would love to. So, Emily Slavic here. I'm based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. So, I heard a lot of Texas coming from the API team, but I'm right here in the Midwest. I'm the president of Algo. So, I oversee and lead different departments at Algo, including product management, which I'm sure the API and other team members here recognize and appreciate, customer success, implementation, marketing, to name a few. So, lots of busyness in that front. A little bit about myself. I actually come from being a seller and working as within a retailer myself, actually. So I worked for some bigger companies like Disney and Best Buy and things like that. So I appreciate a lot of the sellers and different team members hopping on here because I've been in your shoes, if you will. But excited to be here today and talk a little bit about Algo and how we can help you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing the background and context a little bit about yourself as well. Can you tell us about your organization's mission and the problem it's trying to solve with Algo?
Absolutely. So, Algo, we are a business intelligence company, and within that, we actually are also a third-party integration provider. So, hence the reason why we're here today is data and integrating data is really important to us and foundational. And beyond that, we also provide some analytics and planning modules for supply chain and sales. So, like I said, at the heart of what we do, it's integration and data management, but we also add intelligence like machine learning and AI on top of that with some of our other solutions as well.
That is so cool. Thank you for sharing. You guys, if you heard about Algo, drop a note in the chat. I'd be really curious to see that. And also, can you tell us a little bit about the success story with Microsoft? What were Microsoft business goals that led to adopting SPPI?
Absolutely. So one case, we help a lot of suppliers connect to retailer data and information. So as you said, one example is Microsoft. And within Microsoft, the example of the type of goods that they were selling would be computing, like their Surface laptop, Xbox, like Xbox, their games, accessories, all of those types of hard goods or other goods that a supplier could be selling through Amazon. And really what they were looking for was an overall data modernization initiative that's happening. So, they have manual files they use, EDI, but they're really looking to get into and invest into API. And there's a lot of reasons, and we'll kind of talk more about that. But some of the main ones were just timeliness of how fast the data would be coming, being able to make sure that they had accurate data, and also making sure it's standardized globally. So as the team here was talking about with API for Amazon, every country has different connections and maybe different ways they're getting the information, and they wanted to kind of standardize it to make sure there's really a single source of truth.
Right. Well, that's so awesome to hear that this opportunity to create such a cool tool with Microsoft. Can you maybe describe Microsoft's environment prior to SPAPI, just so we can have a comparison?
Yeah, so Microsoft was utilizing EDI, so as I kind of had noted, and they were having a little bit of trouble with that, some delayed data or sometimes missing, so it was difficult for them to always get everything that they were wanting, as well as kind of exporting some information out of Vendor Central. So there's kind of manual data that was coming together. So they were looking for a solution overall to figure out, again, how to automate that and make sure that it was more timely and accurate. And so I know we'll talk a little bit about it, but that they kind of explored different options of how should we integrate that? Should we do that ourselves in-house, or should we, find another expert? And that's actually where Algo came in. So they partnered with us because we are an Amazon API specialist and said, based on what we have seen with you on how you can cleanse and validate the information, we think a partnership with you would be really great to make sure that all of our data modernization initiative kind of really comes to life.
Okay. I mean, if it reduced a few days, that's awesome. That's a really cool partnership. Maybe walk me through like the thought process of when Microsoft chose SPAPI. Like, what were some key motivators or like decision drivers that led to really this SPAPI in the end?
Yeah, so one piece was kind of the flexibility to be able to grab the data whenever they wanted for however back in history they would like. So again, example of EDI being pushed daily with a certain day, that's kind of one capability. But API, as mentioned in one of the polls, you can go all the way back to 4 years. So if you need to replace information or even get history, all of that's available with an API, and you can pull it real time whenever you need to view that information and not wait. So that was definitely one of the most important factors. And then, as you described, previously they would be looking at data like 6 to 7 days old, but with API it was closer to 2 to 3 days old. So that was a huge improvement, and really helps with a lot of business outcomes for them. So sales teams, supply chain teams will be able to see the results of the performance or inventory position, to be able to better react and really drive more sales. So those are some of the factors. And then some of the additional reasons why they decided to go with Algo. As I said, we kind of have specialized experience with the Amazon API, but also globally we have experience. So whether that's North America, Latin America, APAC, EMEA, all of those pieces. And then there was two other reasons. One was speed. So they wanted to get it set up quickly. And even with Microsoft, we were able to set it all up within 5 weeks, which is really fast for them. So that's kind of one of Algo's superpowers, if you will, is just really quick integrations. And as you can see from the slide here, from Amazon, Algo pulls and connects with the data, and then really importantly, cleanse and validates it to make sure that it's accurate. There's not duplicate items. Make sure that it's timely of when it needs to arrive, and then feed it properly into the Microsoft system. So it's not just integration. That's kind of one of those tricky parts with data. It's making sure that it's accurate and having all of the right system and alerts in place, to make sure that is exactly what you need. And then the very last piece I would say why Microsoft was interested in partnering with us is, on top of that data integration, we also provide them analytics, so being able to see it, as well as some forecasting and machine learning planning capabilities. So, again, always happy to help with integration, but those are some additional pieces that Algo can provide as well.
Wow, that was awesome. That was like a great overview. Although not just in terms of like integration, but all these extra things that comes along with Algo. Now that I'm sure everyone is curious to know which APIs are they using and how.
Yeah, so some of the key, I was excited when you had all those different types of APIs at Amazon here. You guys have a suite of many different kinds. Microsoft, they use primarily the ones from the vendor retail analytics. So all the ones from the vendor sales report and the inventory report, so that they could really understand by item, how much is something selling, how much inventory do they have on hand. So that's really some of the basics that we connect with. But what we've been finding over time is connections even on forecasting, on PPM, as someone said, the famous PPM report, that one is important, as well as order management. And that one is, no joke. There's a lot that goes into order management and making sure that that's accurate. So that also is incredibly important as well.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. If you're able to share more, is there anything in particular like that SPAP has enabled Microsoft to do that they couldn't do before? How has this impacted their mission?
Definitely. So some of the call outs there, I would say that they've seen improvements on would be new product launches. So when a new product comes out, every single day really counts, to see how well is it selling, and from where. And so those couple of days of getting timely information has really helped them know where should they send that product, which DC, so that they don't lose out on any sales. So that, I would say, is something they found really right away. Another would be monitoring in stocks to again quickly see, something approaching out of stock. Is it going to be close, to make sure that they can get inventory there right away? Because once it's out of stock, you're losing sales. So
Yes.
again, the timeliness of that is super important. So I would say that they've seen multiple percentage points of improvement in both inventory in stock as well as sales, which is exciting. And then one other win that kind of came out of fruition from our partnership with Microsoft was Algo did kind of a historical review of data to see all of the data that was already in the system, was it accurate? And we could do that because of API and kind of going back in history. And what Algo found was multi-million dollars worth of discrepancies. So, that alone, just kind of correcting that to make sure that that is accurate was a huge business win before, the project even really got started. So they've been very excited, I would say, on the partnership that Algo has provided with that integration.
Wow, that discrepancy the amount is crazy. That's insane to hear. That's awesome. I know we have a lot of vendors on the line. Based on your experience, as a last question, and based on your experience working with vendors, is there any advice that you would give for the audience on the line when integrating with SP API?
Yeah, I would say, some of my considerations or tips would be around just the importance of data monetization. So as noted, every single day counts. And having accurate data is really important to drive your business outcomes, whether that's in-stock percent or maximizing sales. So, while some might debate, what's the right time, I would say the right time is now to make sure that you're ready and set up for next year, really. As everybody knows, it can kind of take up a couple of weeks. So getting a jump start now is really important. And then, my other call out too is sometimes all of this can be a little bit overwhelming or especially when you think about a global project at scale. So Algo is definitely here to help. Would love to chat with anybody on the call here that wanted to learn a little bit more about Algo services. As I said, some of the important factors are just overall speed, our global capability, alert systems, and then other tools that can kind of help drive the business. And the last thing that I would kind of call out and say too is we actually just this morning got approved to do a special pricing for anybody on the webinar. So if anyone's watching the webinar and they're interested to learn a little bit more, can contact Algo at api@algo.com and we can tell you a little bit about that, but make sure that you mention that you watched the webinar because it's been such an awesome event today. Wanted to, make sure everybody got something a little special.
That is so cool. Wait, this is the first time I heard about it too. But, for folks on the line, if you guys are interested, make sure to grab this awesome opportunity. Well, that's all I had. Thank you so much, Emily, for sharing with us and the story with the Microsoft. And once again, if anyone has questions, any interest in Algo, please feel free to reach out at api@algo.com. And this will also be included. It should already be included in the handout that was already provided. Thank you so much, Emily, for your time today.
Thanks, Olivia.
Awesome. Super, super happy that you guys are here with us today. So thanks for tuning, and I would like to introduce my coworker, Kriti, who's also my colleague and a solutions architect who will be taking you folks through the vendor stuff in SP API. Over to you, Kriti.
Thanks, Olivia. Hello, everyone. As introduced, my name is Kriti, and I'm a solutions architect here at Amazon based in Seattle. Today, I will be walking you through the Selling Partner API features and the available solutions for vendors. Let's look at the agenda first. We got some exciting things packed, including a demo and a developer success story presented by our special guest, Emily Slavic, the president of Algo. So stay tuned. Let's get to know the features of SP API before diving into the API solutions. Cool. Selling Partner API is a suite of REST-based APIs that helps Amazon vendors programmatically access their data on listings, orders, payments, etc. And you can increase selling efficiency, reduce labor requirements, and improve response time to customers, helping you grow your business. Now let's talk about some key features. SP API is a REST-based framework with JSON formatted input and output, also available to you as Swagger models on our documentation. We offer tutorials for each API operation explaining how to use them in the form of use case guides. We offer endpoints that support global regions. And we also provide the ability to connect with all marketplaces and vendor groups across regions from one developer profile. It offers restricted data tokens via Tokens API that makes accessing personally identifiable information more secure. And we also have a sandbox feature that lets you test APIs with static requests and responses. And some of the operations too let you test dynamically, which we will cover in the following slides. Cool. So before we get into our first API solution for the day, I got one question for you all. So let's get back to polling. And I want to hear about your current experience with the listings. So how much time do you spend per week on handling listings manually today? Let's see what we hear from folks. I do see responses coming in. Awesome. I see 57% have voted, so let's give them a few more seconds. And while we wait for the folks to vote, we do have a chat window where you can post questions and we will actively monitor it. Cool. Olivia, can we see the results, please? Awesome. That's an interesting metric. So I guess, everyone on this call will be pleased to see what API solutions we offer, which will definitely bring down, the time that you spend weekly on listings today. Cool. Thanks everyone for your participation. Let's dive into our first use case, which is content management. Content is a huge driver of conversion, and brands spend a lot of time and energy to develop their content strategy on Amazon. And by using a combination of the available APIs, brands can not only set up their selection programmatically, but also monitor their content on detailed pages and get alerted if any unauthorized changes are made. These APIs allow selling partners to deliver catalog content within minutes by mapping proprietary catalog data to Amazon's requirements. Let's talk about some of the key advantages. You can save up to 90% time that you manually spend on managing catalog today. You get to automate retrieving the most recent product type schemas, make offer-only submissions, and make partial updates. You also get to submit variations through listing APIs, which could only be done self-service today. And you also have the ability to receive real-time notifications. Olivia, any interesting questions in the chat so far? We'd love to know.
Nothing too much yet.
Okay. Cool. Let's dive deep into the available API solutions. We provide 7 API sections to make your life easier, and let's go over them one by one. The Catalog Items API is a read-only API that lets you programmatically fetch vendors' product catalog details. And then we have the Listings Items API that lets you perform CRUD operations for a SKU. And then we have the Product Type Definitions API that gives you the latest product type schema for the product type that you want to upload. And then we have the A+ APIs that helps you create and update A+ content and increase your conversion rates. The workflows that I just mentioned are all one-by-one operations, but if you're interested in bulk uploading your listings, you could use our Feeds API. And then we have the Listing Restrictions API that lets you check whether restrictions exist that prevent the creation of a listing on Amazon's catalog. Last but not the least, we support 2 asynchronous notifications that are available to detect when the status of an item changes or if processing issues have occurred. And to unlock the full benefits and use cases of each of these API operations, please refer to the handout that Olivia will post in the chat window shortly. Thanks, Olivia. Moving on to our next use case, which is analytics for vendors. Okay, so for all the data gurus on the call, I'm sure you've been waiting for this segment, but before we get into it, let's get back to polling. And I want to hear from you all if you knew this about reports already. Did you know that you can look up data for up to 4 years using the daily reporting period for select reports? Let's see how many of you knew this already about our APIs. Still see answers coming in. Cool. Olivia, can we see the results, please? Okay. Yeah, that's not surprising because this solution is only available via APIs, and we will talk more about it in the upcoming slides. But yeah, thanks everyone for your participation. Before we get into what report types are available, let's talk about the advantages of using reports via API. All data available in the ARA dashboards on Vendor Central are also available through our APIs, including fresh and business programs. And vendors can request data from different time range aggregations, such as daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. And you do have self-service data backfills for historic data for up to 4 years, just as I mentioned. Now, here is an interesting architecture diagram for you. As you can see in the image, by plugging in the vendor analytic reports into your data warehouse just once, you can benefit from various insights that's going to help you sense and predict demand, reduce over forecasting on your inventory, and also plan for new products on your catalog. To unlock the full benefits of this architecture, please refer to our blog posted in the chat window, also available on our blog section on the documentation site, and we will also have it referenced in our handout. Moving on to the first type of analytic reports, which is vendor retail analytics. These reports are a collection that share time series data for a vendor's business, including historical sales, traffic, inventory, and forecast. And as you can see, we have 5 different types here. First one being sales report that exposes core retail performance, traffic report that exposes key retail traffic metrics, and then we have an inventory report that provides vendor inventory health metrics such as net received inventory, open purchase order quantity, and sell-through rate. And then we have the famous net PPM report offering Amazon's net pure product margins for a vendor's inventory item. And then lastly, we have the forecasting report that offers 26 plus weeks of Amazon's consumer demand forecast data. Moving on to our next type, which is brand analytic reports. These reports provide a holistic view for a vendor's business. And these reports aim to deliver competitive insight for brand owners to make informed strategic decisions about your product's portfolio across all your vendor groups. And as you can see, we have 3 different report types here. The search term reports providing data on top clicked ASINs by search keyword and department for a marketplace. These metrics also include click share and conversion share data. And we have the market basket analysis report providing data on the most commonly purchased items from the customer's cart at checkout. And then we have the repeat purchase reports sharing data on the quantity of repeated purchases for vendor items. And the data fields include the count of unique customers, orders, repeat customer count as percentage of the total orders and repeat purchase revenue. Moving on to our last type under analytics, which is the deals and coupons reports. We have 2 different types of reports supported here. So the first one being the coupons performance report, including campaign level details such as total clips redemptions, and coupon level details such as start end date, clips redemptions, and budget information. And the vendor promotions performance report, also called the deals performance reports, includes sales from promotions, the type of discounts that were offered, and how many items were sold as a result of the promotion. And we do support 3 promotion types here. which are best deal, lightning deal, and price discounts. And to unlock the benefits and use cases of each report type that we just discussed, please check out the handout provided. Well, that's all from me, folks. Thank you for listening, and do post any questions you might have in the chat window, which we will be actively monitoring. Over to Meena now to cover the next use case.
Thanks, Kruti. Hey, everyone. This is Meena. I'm a solutions architect with the Selling Partner API team. I'm based in Texas. I'm going to go over the vendor inventory management and fulfillment solutions available via API today. To start off this conversation, let's have a quick poll, shall we? Did you know that we have a dynamic sandbox available for testing direct fulfillment APIs? Please select yes or no. I see responses coming in. That's cool. Please keep voting. Okay, I see a fair number voted. So Olivia, can we see the results, please? Okay, so we have a 22% yes and 78% no. So I'm happy that that some of you know about this. This is a fairly new feature. We will go over it in a minute. So let's get into the vendor inventory management and fulfillment solutions now. So to start with, the vendor retail procurement APIs that we have helps vendors to manage their retail business operations programmatically through web service integration. Using these APIs will help vendors increase operational efficiency, reduce effort, reduce errors, and improve performance. There are three main use cases as you see here: retrieval and acknowledgement of purchase orders, exchanging shipment, and exchanging payment-related documents. And we have four major APIs to automate this flow. The first one is the vendor orders API, which helps you get purchase orders from Amazon and send order acknowledgements to accept or reject the order fulfillment. You can also check the purchase order statuses using this. Next off, we have the vendor shipments API to submit shipment confirmations to Amazon. We have the vendor invoices API to submit invoices, payment invoices to Amazon. And finally, we have the vendor transaction status API. This one is to check the transaction status of post-transaction, like when you submit acknowledgement or shipment confirmations. So these are the four APIs that we have. And benefit of using these APIs are it helps to scale supply chain operations and reduce potential chargebacks. Moving on, let's look at the next one, which is the direct fulfillment APIs. So these help vendors in the direct fulfillment program manage their operations programmatically through web service integration. Same three use cases here: retrieval and acknowledgement of purchase orders, exchanging shipment, and exchanging payment-related documents. The API offerings that we have are slightly different. We have 6 different APIs. The first one is the DF orders API to receive purchase orders and send order acknowledgements. And then we have the shipping API. This offers a slew of operations. Using this, you can request and receive shipment labels synchronously and asynchronously, get packing slips for B2B orders, submit shipment confirmation, and submit shipment status updates. Next off, we have the DF Payments API to submit invoices to Amazon. And we also have the DF Transactions API. This is same as what we have in retail to check the transaction status of the post-transaction. We have a DF Inventory API to exchange inventory stock levels with Amazon. You can also do a bulk inventory feeds upload using the Inventory Feeds API. And finally, the exciting thing that we mentioned about, we have Dynamic Sandbox environment supported here. There is a separate DF Dynamic Sandbox Test API that can be used to generate fictional orders. Using this, you can test your applications without affecting production data or triggering real-world events. So that's all from me, folks. Thank you. You can post any questions that you have in the chat. Over to Supriya for the integration steps and demo.
Thanks, Meena. Hey everyone, my name is Supriya. I'm a solutions architect for SP API based in Dallas, Texas. Before we start, let me test how actively you have been listening so far. Here's a question for you all. Did you know that you just need one SPAPI application client to manage your multiple vendor groups worldwide? Please select yes or no. I see the votes coming in. Let's wait for a few seconds. Right. Yeah, I think let's look at the results, Olivia. Yeah, seems like most of them doesn't know, but it's okay. It's fairly a new feature, and you'll see more details coming up in the further slides. Thank you all for the participation. Now, let's get started on the integration steps. So basically, these are the steps required to create vendor applications to integrate with the SP APIs. Firstly, you need to have a vendor central account with admin privileges for API integration option. Then you need to have an AWS account. It can be a free trial one. It's basically required to create an IAM user that assumes an IAM role that has permissions to call the SP APIs. You need this IAM role when you register your SP API application. Lastly, you need to have an approved developer profile within the API integration section in the Vendor Central. Note that if you have Vendor Central accounts, if you have multiple Vendor Central accounts, you just need to create one developer profile and link all your other accounts under one, which makes it easy for you. Moving forward, today we are going to play a demo on creating sample SPAPI vendor application and making the first call using Postman. For the integrations, starting by filling up your developer registration form, which asks for your org details, the app use case details, and the security protocols followed at your organization. You would also have to select the required roles. Basically, role is the one which determines the access to a particular SPAPI operation. After the developer profile is submitted and approved, you can start creating your applications by clicking on Add New App Client from the Vendor Central and fill in the app registration form and submit it. One thing to note here is that in the app registration form, you will only be able to see the roles that have approval in your developer profile. If you would like to know more information on choosing the roles, please refer to our blog on choosing roles for your developer profile and SPAPI application available in our blog section. And this is also referenced in our handout provided. Integration is a 3-step process, which is a simple one. Firstly, you need to generate the access token. Second, get the temporary credentials for authorization. And the third is to make the actual API call. Here is the demo video showcasing these steps. This is a sample SPAPI application. It has an application ID, IAM, ARN provided during the app registration, login with Amazon credentials, including the client ID and the client secret. To know more details on LWA, please refer to the handout provided. Now that you have the app ready, click on Authorize button. This is to generate a refresh token and exchange it for the access token that you should use to authenticate yourself for SPAPI. So I click on Authorize app to get the refresh token. If you have multiple vendor groups, they will be displayed here and you can use the same app to authorize those. Now, let's make the first call using Postman. I have imported the required SPAPI models from GitHub. Today, you will see the demo to create and download vendor reports using SPAPI. The first step is to generate an access token by making a post call to the authorization server. Provide the details required like the refresh token, client ID, and the client secret from your registered application and hit send. So this is the access token and it starts with ATZA, which is valid for 1 hour. Next step is to request the AWS STS to generate credentials which are temporary for authentication. In the header, provide the access key and the secret key that you have generated when you have created the IAM user in AWS. In the params, provide the role ARN and hit send. So you will get secret access key and the access key ID and the session token These are the temporary credentials and are valid for 1 hour. Now that you got all the keys ready, let's call the reports API workflow. First, you need to call the create report endpoint. In the authorization, provide the access key, secret key, and the session token you got from AWS STS. In the header, you need to mention the access token that you have generated earlier. In the body, provide the filters for the required report and hit on send. So you get a report ID. Run the get report endpoint, inputting the report ID you just generated. The authorization and the header tab remains the same as earlier. Now hit on send. So here you get a report document ID. The final step is to run the get report document ID endpoint, inputting the document ID you just got, and hit on send. You will get a link to download the report that you have generated. So these are the steps required to run a reports API using Postman. You can also automate this entire flow by generating a Java or C# SDK we offer. For more details, check out the blog on Automate Your SP API calls using Java SDK in our blog session and also in the handout provided. So that was the demo. How did you like it? Please do mention it in the chat window. Let's get started on. So now further, we'll have a look at some of the resources available publicly, which can help you in the integrations. So these are some of the resources that provide in-depth information on the APIs and the integration steps we spoke throughout the session. SP API Developer Guide is your go-to material, which can help you answer all your questions. We also provide JSON Swagger models for these APIs, which makes it easy to generate the client libraries. If you run into issues integrating our APIs or need more help on some of the information regarding the APIs, we do have support forums and GitHub community to ask questions and get answers from the developer community and our solutions architects. Alternatively, you can also sign in and open a support case with our developer support from the Vendor Central. These are some of the links that have been provided in the handout as well, which you can refer post the webinar. That's it from my end, guys. Please feel free to post your queries in the chat window if you have any.
Guys, today we went through the introductions on SP API for vendors. We also reviewed benefits and different use cases for vendors and how SP API can help your business grow. We had a chance to just speak with Emily, president of Algo, who also offered a really good discount that you guys might be able to snag, and also some helpful tips as well from her. We'll be sending out resources like Algo contact info, handout for the use case, as well as the survey in the email post-webinar. So please don't forget to fill out the survey, as we really appreciate the feedback. And for the, we'll also provide responses to questions that was unanswered in the webinar summary in the email with recording as well. Hope you guys enjoyed the session, and thanks for tuning in, and we'll be saying bye for now. Until next time. Bye.